Natalie coming to live. Spirit and coffee, cup of coffee here. Mm-hmm. Very yummo. Thank you very much. Hello. 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 Holla. Okay. Let's get started. As I said before yesterday, I was in this like state of confusion where it's like I don't even know what's going on in my life. I'm sort of in this stagnant place, but one thing I do know is that we are mere reflections of each other. And so, as things arise, as people arise in your life, it's really an opportunity to ask yourself where you are in your own personal life. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I like that saying because they're there to sort of show you who you are and where you are at a particular moment in time. And even what blockages are holding you back from really becoming who you be. So sometimes we get those characters in our life where we're like, oh, it's too much. They complain or they're this or they're that. And really, it's an opportunity for you to dig deeper into yourself. And it could be that you're digging into compassion for others, right? Or yourself. Good morning, PBG. Good morning, Daphne. Good morning, Jacqueline. And so that it could be that you're digging into yourself to look at that. So it really becomes a reflection, right? So as people arise in your life, you start to say, well, our question, why is this person showing up in my life? For what reason? What's going on? What am I seeing within myself? And sometimes we see the best, right? Sometimes we're like, wow, that person's amazing. Really what we're seeing is our amazingness, right? It is a reflection of who we are or what we're striving to become. So, and then sometimes people will show up in our life and we're like, what the hell was that? Why? and the reality is that it's a reflection, right? It's an opportunity for you to look at yourself, right? Good morning, Sandra, and say, okay, now this individual has taught me something. This individual is triggering something within me. This is deepening my compassion for humanity, right? Because there's a deepening there when we look at individuals that really trigger us, and it's a deepening of maybe forgiveness or a deepening of compassion, and we start to dig deeper and deeper into the parts of us that maybe need some work, right, or fine-tuning. Sometimes we just need to be fine-tuned, and that's okay, right? It's almost like pianos, don't just, they're not always on key, right? You have to go and adjust and make sure, or even guitars, right? So as you're strumming the guitar, there might be a sour note and it's like, okay, now I got to readjust it. So we are like instruments as well. Sometimes we need retuning and refining, right? So that our harmony, or we can string or strum or create a song of harmony. Now, it's not that a dissonance, right, is not okay. That really is just good morning, Kumar, really an opportunity for us to self-reflect and look at. So as people arise in your life, ask yourself, are they triggering you? Is there a trigger point for you? Or are they showing you the best parts of yourself that you have within you? It's like if someone tells me, oh, Natalie, you're so awesome, I'm like, you're so awesome. Because the reality is, good morning, Roberto, how are you? Is that they're seeing the reflection of themselves in you. And that's usually, you're seeing the reflection of yourself in them, vice versa, right? So that mirror reflection is super critical. And this is the same with coaching, like now. So I don't take on coaching clients very often. I'm not out to seek clientele for coaching. It's not why I do this at all. I only coach those who come to me and actually really want to get coached, right? And so I let God or the universe or creator sort of say here, and it's a gift when somebody says, I would like to do coaching with you. And we go through a process, right? I don't just say, okay, I'm taking you on. We have a discussion, we talk about it. And the reason why that I do that, now some life coaches, and I'll just tell you guys about this in case you were ever inquiring about a life coach, right, is that some life coaches had different skills. Not all life coaches are the same. They don't all have the same tools. Some have gone through different types of trainings. the training that I did in terms of coaching is really almost like a mirror reflection or a self-reflection. In other words, when I receive somebody to coach, I'm reflecting, their life is reflecting on me, and I understand that, just as mine is reflecting on theirs. They're coming to me because we're sort of magnetized towards each other as a reflection of each other. And so what I do is I have to look at my life to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do in order for the other individual to move forward as well. It becomes a total self-reflection process. Okay. And I start to say, okay, if this individual has come to me for coaching and they're telling me that this stuff is going on with their life, I don't give advice. That's not what I do. What I do is I look at my life and say, okay, where in my life do I need to fix things? So a coach of my nature, any good coach of my nature, that's what they would be doing. They would be fixing their own life the way that the person that they're coaching is fixing their life. So if there's, let's say, for instance, a coachee comes to me or a person comes to me and says, I have no motivation. Then I would say, okay, where in my life am I unmotivated? And I start to work on those pieces for myself. And as I work with myself, right, internally, the reflection and projection starts to happen between both of us. As I move forward, they move forward, which is why I literally won't take on a bunch of people, because I don't have the capacity to do that, to take on that much energy, right? I can only work on so many things. Now, typically, as people arise and ask me for coaching, they're typically in the same state. And that's just the way it works. It becomes a total self-reflection. It's a pretty powerful place to be. And it allows me to dig deeper into who I am in that self-reflection in the mirror, right? Because coaching is very different from therapy in a lot of ways, right? A therapist doesn't, even though they might not want to, they are taking on some of your energy. Of course we are. We all are. When we're in the presence of each other, right? Our energy is being absorbed. You're absorbing mine. I'm absorbing yours. Even if you guys are listeners, I'm still having a physical reaction to the people that join or even participate, right? The energy's there. But with coaching, it's a mindful act of self-reflection, okay? It's a mindful act of self-reflection, of self-awareness, and I'm talking about the coach, which is cool because it has you dig deeper into who you are as an individual and how you can serve humanity. Again, as within, so without. And I had wrote this quote the other day. It was like I had one day put on there, I want to save the world. I think I said that like it was 11 years old or something on Facebook. Facebook always does your reminders of what you did however long ago. It was about 11 years ago I said this, right? And then I laughed at that, right? Because we're constantly learning and growing, right? I'm constantly growing and learning. And so as I started to look at that quote, I laughed at myself, right? The more mature version of myself is like, no, you're not saving the world and you can't. You need to just save yourself. And as you save yourself and as you work on yourself and you point the finger within, which is what all the sages, all the teachers, everybody has said, when you really focus on you, when you really focus on how you can contribute, what ends up happening? You end up saving others. Only because you're saving yourself, because it's one, right? We are all one. So it's pretty interesting, the mirror reflection and as within, so without. So looking at the people in your space at this point and asking yourself, because even if you're not coaching, even if you're not a life coach, you are in a way. Because every individual that shows up in your space is an opportunity for you to ask how you are manifesting the energy that you're seeing outside of you. Okay. If you flipped it and reversed it, right? If you said like this, every character that shows up in my life is a manifestation of what is actually happening to me internally. Literally, I am generating and producing the energy from inside of me to have this projection show up in front of me. And seeing people as maybe a projection, right? Like it's almost like a screen. If you could take a light, let's just say this. Let's say you had a light hitting your back, right? And the light itself was reflecting out the internal psyche. Okay, that the internal psyche is being projected out. What would be projected? Okay. Well, let's just say that that projection is the energy that you're drawing forth, the people that are arising in front of you. How are you handling that? Are you staying stuck, right? Because I started to think this morning, how do I engage with people? Am I negative? Am I positive? Am I, what am I doing? What am I stirring up? What's going on in the subconscious mind? And I thought, oh yeah, okay, I need to shift a few things and I need to be more aware and alert. Why am I having the conversations I'm having about certain individuals? What's coming up? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they judgmental? Right? Because we all do it. We're human. We're all human, and our projections are sort of distorted, right? They're not all pure and clear. But if you did that, if you just took this, and I had this model that I drew, and perhaps one day, I'll put it in my models. I think I'm going to just, or I think what I need to do is just take all my models and put them in some kind of digital format and to be able to share them. But if you saw yourself as a crystal, let's just say that your vessel, right, is this crystal that is reflecting light, right, that can absorb and then reflect out. Okay. When you are projecting that light outside of you, what sort of projections are you having? Now, think of it as a rainbow in some ways, right? When we see a rainbow, sometimes we don't see all the colors. Sometimes it's just a very faint rainbow and we can't see all the colors. They're not distinct. But sometimes it's so clear that we can see it all. And we're like, wow. And so sometimes there's these blockages within us and the projection comes out distorted. And so the projection being, okay, maybe the individuals that are showing up or the energies that are showing up on our life are coming out a little distorted. Why? Well, we've got to look at internally what's blocking us. Why is it coming out this way? What distortions live within us? I don't know because I have opened it recently. Okay, I'm not how do you enter what? Sorry, I don't know what you're asking me. Apologize. So again, it's the reflection and the self-reflection and looking at that. Now, if you took sort of a log and you just said, hey, let me just kind of look, let me just do this sort of self-reflection exercise. And you put on one side yourself, right? You put self, and then you put the projections that are showing up. And then you put for yourself kind of the things that you're going through. Maybe you're going through stress. Maybe you're about to get married or have a child, or maybe you're about to start school, or maybe you're entering retirement, or I don't know, whatever life circumstances are going on. You can put yourself. Okay. And then you could put maybe in the middle column how you feel about those things. Like maybe you're scared or you're uncertain or whatever. And then on the right-hand side, right, it would be like 3 rows. The right-hand side, you would put the people that are showing up in your life and ask yourself, how are they connected? You can even draw lines and say, oh shit, well, this is why this person's showing up. This is what they're teaching me while I'm going through all this anxiety. Maybe they're there to comfort me through that anxiety. That's awesome. You manifested that, right? That's a gift from the universe, from God, whatever you call it. That's God saying, here's a person, an individual that's going to support you through this process. And maybe someone is causing you all this anxiety and it connects to something else in your life. And you're like, holy shit, I'm projecting that. That's why I'm drawing in that energy. Okay. We know this. There's tons and tons and tons of books about this. We just sometimes don't remember or understand how we are generating those individuals into our life. And they're individuals that help us move forward. Some hold us back because we allow them to hold us back because we don't understand that there's a lesson there. And typically, it's those individuals who are maybe shadow energy. They themselves are not the shadow, but they're a projection of your shadow. So, in other words, you're projecting out, they're showing up, and all you can see is that projection in them. Okay. It's like an imprint almost. But they're triggering that shadow side of you for some reason. Now, most people get stuck on that negative. People are addicted to negative energy. It's just true. They've done research after research about research on the brain and how the brain deals with it. And people tend to lean towards a pessimistic sort of life is this, and it's harder to be more positive, right? So, and it's because society itself has been constructed that way for us to take in the negative shit, right? The fear, the this, the that, over and over and over again. So we tend to lean that way and we get stuck there, not understanding how to get the hell out of it, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm perpetuating and stuck in this cycle of, self-sabotage where these individuals don't necessarily serve my higher purpose, but they do. But they're not because you're allowing them to drain you and you stay stuck there in that negative cycle instead of saying, what am I learning from this? It's just like talking the mitote, right? So mitotera, mitote. I think in the Toltec, it's just the negative self stories that we tell ourselves are the internal dialogue that we have that's just totally negative, right? That just draws us in, draws us down. We love that shit. We feed on that shit. It's the truth. I mean, just turn on the TV. That's why everything on TV is that way, because we literally are somehow drawn to that. But what ends up happening is we stay stuck. Okay. We stay stuck there. And then notice the conversation. It's kind of funny. Like, catch yourself, look at it. Like, what am I talking about right now? Oh my God, I'm talking about someone's bitching about this person. So then I'm bitching about that person. And guess what? Every conversation is the same bitch session about the same person. You're staying stuck in a cycle. You could do that. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, good, or bad, but the reality is you're hurting you. Why? Because now you're stuck in a story. You're allowing a person who's not even there to take your time, your mental time away from the things that are important, which is what? The awareness or the understanding, the awakening of this is a lesson. Why am I so triggered? Instead of talking about how they did this and that, ask yourself, why do I care? Why am I so triggered by this individual? Why is it showing up for me? Why am I so upset about that? What is it that this individual is saying that's really causing the core of me, and why am I giving my power away to that? My recent find where I'm getting triggered is not a person, and it doesn't have to just be a person, it's Facebook. I want to cuss at Facebook, okay? I utilize it. Obviously, I do my Spirit and Coffee live on Facebook. But Facebook has become this addiction, right? It's an addiction, and everybody's addicted to media, to social media. Not everybody, but let's just say about probably 99.9% of the population is addicted. And the first step to rehabilitation is accepting that. I have accepted it completely, and I've known that I've been addicted to it for quite some time. Then I watched The Social Dilemma. Social Dilemma really had me understand. Now, here's the deal. I do tobacco prevention. Okay. Tobacco prevention talks about how we have these reward responses, right? If you smoke tobacco, right, the nicotine itself will at first release the dopamine in the brain, and it's a reward system. It actually calms the nerves. However, after it sets in, it spikes up. And every time you smoke, you have to smoke more in order to get that reward. And it becomes, okay, so now Facebook's the same way. It's the same thing. And nicotine is one of the hardest things to quit for so multiple reasons. Now, I the other day was like, okay, this is taking up my time and the space in my mind, okay? So it's not just about people, right? It's about the way we utilize our time and what we're paying attention to. I literally wanted to throw my phone out of the window. I got really pissed off, right? And I was like, you're taking all my time. Why? And it's an addiction, okay? We are addicted to certain things. And sometimes they help us avoid us living out our divine purpose. And we stay stuck in that addiction. And sometimes the addiction is talking negative about people or talking about the same story that's perpetuated in your life over and over. Like, how do we get past it? Right? Maybe you're still talking about and people do this. They're still talking about how their parents did nothing for them, da, 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 da. They still have daddy issue, mommy issues, right? We all do. Trust me, I had mama issues. I had daddy issues. We all do, right? We were programmed by these people who didn't know what the hell they were doing half the time because there's not a manual that says this is how you parent. No. In other words, we get stuck in that cycle. And it's a cycle that it just it sucks the energy, life force out of us. And when that happens, rather than perpetuate the story, we get to reclaim our power within the story, reclaim power over or with the story. Asking yourself, why am I triggered by this? Why do I care? How is it that I'm having the same conversation about the same person or the same thing or the same whatever, and it's been 5 years and I'm still repeating the same story? What did I learn from the story? What am I learning? What is my big trigger? Why am I so triggered? Because what that does is it starts to release that unsubconscious bullshit that we hold on to that we don't even know is there. But there's bullshit in the subconscious mind. Okay, not the unconscious, the subconscious. A repressed memory, story, whatever. And usually it goes back to our parents because that's usually how it goes, right? That's how even therapy will take you all the way back. When we find that root, that trigger point, now we have something to work with. Not to say that the pattern won't show up again, but now you're aware when it does, and you have a different way to deal with it so that you're not stuck in the story for 5 years. That you can take that storyline and you can shift it. And now it has power. Like these deeply rooted stories have power. People don't know how to tap into that power. They just don't. Nobody has taught anybody how to do that. They've tried to teach people, right? And then it goes away. But if we really understood the power of the bullshit stories we hold in our subconscious mind, the ones that are perpetuating sorrow and pain and all that, if we were to dig into that, into the root of that, look at it and work with it, we will be able to transmute it into something powerful. There is power in the story. We're glossing over that power though, because we're not digging deeper. We're not taking personal responsibility for the way that we feel about that particular storyline or the individuals that are showing up in our life. When we are able to tap into the root, to the trigger, right? It's like acupuncture. I used to have a friend who'd say emotional acupuncture. When we hit that point, we either cry or we're angry and we release that energy. That energy is where our power comes from. Because trust me, you want motivation, start digging into the shit those stories that you perpetuate. when you release that energy, because it's tangled up and it's dense. So think about it as, if it's in the subconscious mind, you could think of it as a very dense pebble just sitting there and sinking deeper and deeper. Now imagine that you were able to get that pebble and explode it open. All the energy potential in that particular story that's in the subconscious mind. That is the energy of motivation, inspiration. It is the divine will at its finest. It allows us to move forward. It gives us all of this energy. I mean, there's no other word for it but energy. It's that point where you want to get up and just run and run and run and run and run. Good morning, radio. Good morning, Alfie. Good morning, Torito Blow. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Brandy. Good morning, all these people that just showed up. If you're still on here, good morning to you. Poria. Sorry, I was just going off on a tangent, so I didn't get to say good morning, but good morning to everybody. And those on Facebook as well. If I don't see you, it's because Facebook's not showing me. Okay, so if you drew a circle that represented the conscious mind, and I want to make a distinction here, and here's something that I'm going to be working with soon because I need to know for myself. The unconscious mind is that I don't know what I don't know. The subconscious mind, I know that I don't know. So in the subconscious, it's just, there's 3 layers really. And people talk about the subconscious like the unconscious, and there's a distinction, there's a difference there. Subconscious mind is the repressed stuff that we put in the back of our mind, like we don't remember it. When we don't deal with it, right, we perpetuate stories that keep us in a time loop that don't serve us. When we start to tap into it and we actually release it, we actually release energy potentials for us to move forward in time and not stay stuck in the past. I hope this makes sense. I am going to draw a diagram because it just came to me how it would look perhaps in a diagram, and how people could utilize it sort of as tapping into. How do I tap into that subconscious story that's just perpetuating shit that's not working for me and not helping me? But guess what? That energy potential that's stuck in the subconscious mind that is dense, that you're not dealing with or you're not looking at, or that we are not wanting to say, hey, this is mine, perpetuates and reflects in a distorted story by the energies that show up in our space. I don't know how this person showed up. I don't know how this person showed up. I don't know how that person showed up. Guess what? You magnetized it towards you. If you saw that little pebble in the subconscious mind as this magnetic force, it's drawing in the energy. You have to release it in order to push that energy away. And then you recall new energy arises. Sort of like a magnetic field. Your subconscious stories that don't serve you are a magnetic field. You can see it like a pebble, a magnetic pebble in the subconscious mind sitting there, drawing in the energy, right? The energy that need, and that energy, until you recognize it, you can't release it. And your same story is going to perpetuate, and you're stuck in this vortex of past stories, past things. So the people that show up in your life are a projection of what's happening within you internally. And it's funny because I've seen it firsthand, right? Family members I've seen. Family members who sometimes just draw in negative energy, but it's because they're magnetizing that towards them. I don't have the same, I can talk to the same exact person and not have a totally different response from that person. And this other person doesn't understand how I just said it the same way. Well, subconsciously, there's that pebble that is a magnet that is magnetizing that energy towards you. You're drawing it out. It's becoming a projection. It's imprinted. Okay, so I hope this makes sense, and I'm glad I talked it out because now I have a whole chart and model and probably a whole curriculum I could create off of this. Okay, so there you have it. Have a wonderful day, and I'm excited, and maybe, go deeper into the discussion tomorrow. I'm going to go draw some charts and models because it just, boom, came to me, and I think I need to draw it out before I forget about it. But there you have it. I love you guys. I hope this was super helpful for you. Have the most beautiful, magnificent, awesome, beautiful day ever. And of course, I will be seeing you all tomorrow. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye-bye.